So how do we get to where we're at today in the greatest era of Pokemon cards you have probably ever seen? So I've been buying stuff since I think it was the black and white era. I remember I still got some of those little, like that Heat Ran tin. Came with some, I think it came with black and white and some platinum packs in there. It's just, it's not the same. Like those sets from back then, they were cool, all that stuff. My kids enjoyed opening them, all that. But these days, with the illustration rares, special illustration rares, got rid of the rainbow cards, got gold cards. We are in like some of the best artwork we have ever seen in any other era. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like base set Charizard. That base set Charizard has nothing on these new Charizard alt arts and special illustration rares. So how do we get here? I just kind of want to go through the history, starting at Gen 1 base set. Just to like kind of go through what there was. So base set shows up in 1999 in America. 102 cards, and the first 16 were holos. Those were the ones you were chasing. Holo cards were the chase cards. They were the star rarity, so they were the rare, not the common or uncommon, and that was what you were chasing. They also did have the energy cards in the main set, but once Jungle came out, the next set, they took the energies out of the main set, and energies didn't have a number. They weren't numbered in the set. So and then you had Fossil and Team Rocket. They added the non-holo versions of some of the cards, so you could get a holo, which was the chase, and the non-holo, like the Aerodactyl. They had an Aerodactyl, two of them, a holo and a non-holo, and they were numbered 1 and number 16. Kind of interesting, that's what they did there. So that was Fossil and Team Rocket. But Team Rocket also introduced the dark Pokemon, like the Dark Charizard and stuff like that. And then we had, after that, the gym stuff, like Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge. And that introduced the owner's Pokemon, which, we're like Sabrina's Gengar. So we're kind of getting that again with the Journey Together set that's supposed to release next month. And that was Gen 1. Gen 2, we got the Neo sets, Neo Genesis, Neo Discovery, Neo Revelation. They had a little promo set called Southern Islands, promotional set there. And that was like the same kind of situation, same format, with the holo energies were the first numbered 1 through 20 or 1 through 16, whatever it would be. And then, the common and uncommon non-holo cards and stuff like that. But Neo Revelation introduced the very first shining Pokemon, that was Shining Magikarp and Shiny Gyarados. Very sought after cards. Very awesome, nice stuff. And then we had Legendary Collection come out, and that's the first time reverse holos were ever introduced. And there were those beautiful reverse firework holos. There's one in every pack. That's highly sought after. That's probably one of my favorite sets. I wish I was around, opening those boxes, because that would have been like an amazing box to open. They were in every pack. So and then cards like the Mewtwo didn't have a holo. So the best card you can hope for, if you're a big Mewtwo fan, for Legendary Collection was the Firework Reverse Holo. Amazing card. Awesome. Then after that, we kind of had like this little hybrid between Wizards of the Coast and Nintendo, where they had the E-Series cards, like Expedition, Aquapolis, and Skyridge. Those had a little like barcode to scan on your Nintendo systems, all that stuff. And so that was something different, something new. And then Aquapolis and Skyridge, the second and third set, they introduced the first secret cards. These were cards that were numbered above the set list, and had they had also the holos in those actually were called like H1, H2. So it was weird, instead of having like that Aerodactyl I talked about, it was card number 1 and number 16. This one had a regular numbered card, and if the holo version was like H1, H2, and so that was kind of a interesting thing for those sets. And that was Gen 2. And we move into Gen 3, which is the EX, where Nintendo takes over. They introduced the new powerful EX Pokemon. This is the first time they had a trainer kit with this little starter deck, comes with a coin, and this one actually had a pack at the time. They also EX Dragon introduced the Cosmic Holo foils on like the Latios, and a few other cards, pretty nice. And this is the first time they brought out the window tins, the octagon shape that we're used to now, the smaller ones. So that was that's some of the big stuff. EX EX started doing a lot of some of the more modern things that we're used to. Fire Red, Leaf Green, they introduced the cracked ice hollows on those legendary birds, amazing cards. Team Rocket Returns introduced the first gold cards, the gold star cards, the Torchic and the Mudkip. I think there was one more, that lizard guy. And then EX Delta Species introduced Pokemon that were two types, like the Umbreon being dark and metal, so that was kind of cool. And then Legend Maker is the first reverse hollows to have the set name on the reverse hollow. It wasn't on the regular, but it was on the reverse hollow. So it had like the Legend Maker on there, and sets after that have done that as well. Okay, moving into Gen 4, which is my favorite generation. That's like some of the best, craziest heavy hitter Pokemon that I like. But they introduced like the level system, had a number, like a level 56, level something, and then the EX was replaced with level X cards, level X. And then this is also when they changed from those booster boxes that open at the top that usually had the box toppers to the new stand-up modern booster boxes that we're used to today. That was the first time that was on Diamond and Pearl, Gen 4 Diamond and Pearl. So the Platinum Rising Rivals added a highlight gallery at the end to introduce Rotom, and those like at the end of the set list, it was RT1 through RT6, and they're all Rotom cards. And that trend continued 2 sets later in the Arceus, Platinum Arceus. There was 10 Arceus cards in there, and each Arceus was like a different. I guess it was like leaf, fire. So there was there was no fairy at the time, so they didn't have that 11th one, or I don't know if there was a dragon one in there, but yeah. The only other time they did one of those was an Unseen Forces for Unknown, and at the end of the list they had like a bunch of unknown cards. Not even worth mentioning because it wasn't as cool as these Rotoms and the Arceus ones here. And then the Heart Gold, Soul Silver, they got rid of the level system and the level X, and they introduced those legendary connecting cards where you had to pull one half of each card. And then of course they brought those lithograph cards. Not much to mention on those. They haven't brought those back for a reason. So, and then we move into Gen 5, which is black and white, and that introduced full arts, as we kind of what we know of them today, and they're a staple in all the sets now. But full arts were introduced back in black and white. The EX cards returned after the level X took its place in Next Destinies, and like the modern style of EX that we're used to now. Returned in Next Destinies, and then I had the full art EXs as well, with first full art trainer and in Noble Victories, which is kind of cool. And he's getting real popular right now because of ends in the its battle partners or Journey Together right now currently. So and then the A-Specs. The A-Specs were introduced in Boundaries Crossed, black and white Boundaries Crossed. They had those A-Specs, and then the very first ETB, the very first ETB was introduced in Plasma Storm. Plasma Storm introduced the very first ETB. Amazing product. As you know, it's a staple product. Booster boxes, ETBs, those are big these days. Everyone loves that stuff. The first secret gold card showed up in Plasma Freeze with the full art cards in Legendary Treasures, along with Radiant cards. Radiant cards. They had a whole Radiant subset in Legendary Treasures. So that was kind of cool there. We move on to Gen 6. That was XY. This introduced the fairy type Pokemon. So we had a whole new set of a whole type. The pink borders. Dark types are black. Fairy types were pink. And then fairy energies. Introduced the fairy energies as well. Those came in the packs. And then XY Flashfire was the first sets with the Mega. So the Mega EXs, and those were pretty big at the time. And I know we're supposed to be getting a Mega set later on this year, so we'll see how that affects the old cards right there, and see how they do on those. If the Megas actually even become something big, or if people just kind of don't really care. We'll see. We'll see later on this year. And then Phantom Forces introduced the one and only silver Dialga card. It's only silver card. We know we got gold all the time, but the silver card was that Dialga EX. And then the flare items came and went. First set they were in disappeared as quick as they came. You don't see no more silver cards, and you do not see any more of those flare item cards. So gone to never be seen again. Breakthrough introduced the not so popular break cards. Probably won't see those again either. XY is kind of brought up some things that we probably won't see anymore. Then Fates Collide is the first time we had a build-in battle box. They weren't called build-in battles at the time. It was called a pre-release block that just says pre-release, but they replaced that wording with build-in battle nowadays for what we know to this day. But yeah, the first one was in XY Fates Collide. Cool little item. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think that's going to kind of continue to be something that we'll always see. And then XY ends with XY Evolutions. It's like the first time they ever did like a nostalgic throwback set, Nintendo set, actually reprinting cards from Wizards of the Coast, which was kind of cool. But they also kept with some of the new stuff with the EXs, the break cards, and full art cards were in that set. XY Evolutions, very popular set. Not one of my favorites, but the products are very expensive. I don't see why, but they are. And now we move into Generation 7 with Sun and Moon. That's the introduction of Hyper Gold and Rainbow cards. That's like the last cards in the set list are Hyper Golds and Hyper Rainbows, which is kind of cool. They continued with the full arts, that's right before those in there, and replaced the EX with the GX cards. And in the gameplay, you can only use a GX once. You can only use it once, and then you have the little GX marker to show that you used it. EXs, you can use their moves all day long. And then Shining Legends is the first set to have secret alternate arts, that Mewtwo. It's only one, but you had a Mewtwo EX, a Mewtwo full art, a Mewtwo Rainbow, and then you had an alternate artwork of the Mewtwo. It was the only card in there. It was a secret alternate art, which was kind of cool, but it wasn't called an alt art at the time. It was just a secret card, and this is kind of like where the groundwork gets set for alt arts and what we know today as special illustration rare. So I think that's Shining Legends. That card is a very big major key card for the Pokemon TCG. It's an awesome card. Crimson Invasion introduced the Ultra Beasts. I don't know if we'll ever see them come back, and if they do, will they have the Ultra Beast tag on there or anything? I don't know. We'll see. That's yet to be determined. And then Team Up introduced a tag team, and it also normalized artwork card, alternate arts. Didn't call them alternate arts, but you had like the Latios, the very famous card, and the Gengar Mimikyu alt art cards in there, but they didn't call them alt arts at the time. But Team Up, one of the most iconic sets ever, amazing, and alt arts were kind of normalized in that set. And then we had Hidden Fates after that with the first baby shinies and full art shinies. It's like the first Fates set. Kind of cool. I mean, it's now we're kind of seeing more sets very similar to that one with the baby shinies, full art shinies, and with the name Fates. I like that. Kind of set precedent for those sets moving forward. And then Cosmic Eclipse. I don't know if a lot of you people know this, but Cosmic Eclipse was the first set to have a trainer gallery in it. They didn't call it a trainer gallery, it was in the secrets, but every one of the cards in that, they were all in the number order, and they all had a trainer and a Pokemon on it, and they all looked like the trainer galleries that we know from Brilliant Stars and those sets like that. You got that one of the more famous ones from that set is that Pikachu with red. Everyone likes that card. I mean, it's pretty cool, but that's the first time we ever seen trainer gallery cards, and that was in Cosmic Eclipse, one of my favorite sets of all time. Love Cosmic Eclipse. All right, then we move on to Sword and Shield, which is Gen 8, and they replaced the GX with the Vs, and they added the VMAX thing. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I didn't play the games, but I know they look more massive or big or whatever, and they got they done away with the fairy type. Fairy type is gone. Then Vivid Voltage comes out with a big old Chunkachu and introduces amazing rares. Those didn't last too long. They're probably not going to bring those back. And then Battle Styles ushers in the actual full art. I mean, alternate arts as the name of them, alt arts. You had the Mewtwo, which was an alternate art. A few other alternate arts kind of throughout the history of Pokemon, just like a little bit here. But this is where Battle Styles is the very first alternate art set. It's not the first set to have an alternate art. It's the first set to normalize that as the name for those. And then, we have a few major sets like Chilling Reign and, of course, Evolving Skies, but they didn't do anything different than, to add more alt arts, So, and then Brilliant Stars introduced, that's where the trainer gallery, they took the concept from a Cosmic Eclipse and actually gave it a name. Even call them TG01, TG02. So trainer gallery cards were normalized in Brilliant Stars, and it's like a subset, the trainer gallery at the back end of the numbering system there. And then they introduced V Star. So we had V Max, and the Brilliant Stars brought in V Star cards. Okay, so that's basically that's it. And then from the end of there, the trainer gallery in Crown Zenith changes to the Galarian gallery. They look very similar, but nothing major changes there. And that is where everything was set up to bring us to Scarlet and Violet. So trainer galleries have become illustration rares. Alt arts became special illustration rares. We get back to the EX cards. We add the Terras. It's where we're at now. I think this template is probably one of the best templates that's probably going to work. If they change it to the next era, I would be surprised, but I think the next era is going to have illustration rares, full arts. It's going to have special illustration rares and gold cards. I don't know if they're going to bring rainbow back. Like if they do that, like randomly throw a rainbow here and there, that'd be kind of cool. But I don't think the rainbows were too big. I don't think they're going to bring them back really. You have so the EX Terras were introduced. It's not like, I guess it's an interesting thing, but not a lot of people like them. They have the crowns, the Terra crowns, and all that kind of stuff. And then Japanese 151 introduced us to reverse hollow master balls, and we didn't get that in the English side until Prismatic Evolution. So, but the Japanese 151 master balls are very popular here in America. So that was kind of a cool ad, So, and then Paradox Rift introduced us to Paradox Pokemon, which are like ancient and future versions of some of our popular Pokemons, like Salamence becomes Roaring Moon, and Raikou is now that Raging Bolt. So very, very interesting concept that probably will be like a one-off kind of thing. It probably won't ever come back. But they did bring, Intemporal Forces brought back the A-Specs. So the A-Specs make its second appearance in the Pokemon TCG. And then, of course, Stellar Crown brings rainbow bordered cards. So the Terra cards kind of were introduced, but then the rainbow borders didn't come in until Stellar Crown, which is pretty awesome. So they look really nice. I like that. And and going forward, we have so we've got the Trainers Pokemon coming back with Journey Together. We've got supposedly a Team Rocket set coming back, and we possibly, it sounds like we're getting another black and white set, and it sounds like we might be getting the Megas back. But yeah, I really like the setup of Scarlet and Violet with the illustration rares and special illustration rares and the gold cards. Those are basically the 3 cards that my son collects for his binders. He does not chase full arts. He does not chase EXs or any other things like that. He does like Master Balls, baby shinies, and all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of cool stuff in these sets, but like I said, this is how we got to where we're at now, and I really like the template that they're using. They grabbed the best stuff from the past and turned it into what we are familiar with now. And the illustration rares and the special illustration rares are amazing. Some of the best artwork, some of the most expensive cards like the Magikarp are illustration rare. And you got like the Groudon from Paradox Rift, very expensive. The Eevee from Twilight Masquerade. These illustration rares are actually outperforming the trainer gallery cards from the past. And so this is, like I said, this is one of my favorite eras. I think it is the best era. Evolving Skies is probably one of the best sets. Team Up was one of the best sets. But when you look at Scarlet and Violet from beginning to end, there is no bad set. Not even Obsidian Flames, not Shrouded Fable. None of the sets are bad. All right, man. So that is how we got to the Scarlet and Violet era and how things progressed over time. And chase cards, hollow cards were chase cards. Now they're really just firewood, fire starter, I guess. And now what we're chasing is illustration rares, special illustration rares, and gold cards in some places. Some gold cards are holding some value. So it's kind of nice to see this whole progression from the beginning base set 1999 to today. All right, man. Have a happy, great, fun rest of your weekend, whatever you're doing for the Super Bowl. Enjoy it. I'm about to get ready to go home, grab some wings, and watch the Super Bowl. Hopefully the Eagles win, because I'm tired of watching Kansas City win. So sorry, my Kansas City fans out there. I don't want to see you guys win again. All right, man. End of my video. I will see you on the next one. I'm out.